Class. Oh,
Please
hold
make
on.
sure to
No,
like and subscribe.
no. This is health class, and I wore this shirt just for you, CJ, and Drewy, and Isaac, and Ashlyn. Those of you that hunt. I don't hunt, but anyway, I like the sweatshirt. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a decent week. I know some of you are fishing, and some of you guys are getting outside. I hope while it's warm, while we can. And you guys always say to have class outside, so here I am having class outside. And some of y'all are worried about getting, your stuff in. You can let your parents know. I am basically just everything that I gave you, like worksheets, questions, that kind of thing. I'm going to take it up at the end of next week when you're done. So, like, probably about April the 2nd, if you can turn it in. Some in the school, they're going to have little boxes, and mine will have my name. And you just bring it in and drop it in, and it's all in that foyer area. So it's really easy to, it doesn't have to be a specific time that we're there. It can be any time, and that will help hopefully a little bit. But you can just bring all that 2 weeks worth of work in, and then I'll start getting some grades in. If you get it done early, that's fine. You can stick it in there, maybe like put it in a little folder or staple them all together, make sure your name's on them, that kind of thing. So, anyways, we're going to start talking about your changing body. Yeah, I know you're really excited that you're doing this lesson in particular at home. Anyway, it's really not bad, but make sure you read it. But anyways, I'm going to read a little section of this because this is what I always do whenever we're in class. Anyway, it says, "Before you were alive, before you were really you. A tiny egg about the size of a period was stored deep inside your mother's body, and when the egg or the ovum united with the sperm, it formed a fertilized egg, which was you. God included in this fertilized egg everything that you were to become, whether you were a girl or a boy, whether you would be short or tall, the color of your hair, what color your eyes would be, and even the little shape of your nose. So this new fertilized egg divided into 2 cells, as you can see down at the bottom of 52, then into 4, then into 8, then into 16, and so on and so forth. And you basically were this little ball of cells, this little cluster there. And so for a few days, you were floating weightlessly in your mother's womb, and then you grew a placenta, which attached to your mother's womb. And that placenta, just a marvel of God's design. It actually does the work of several organs all at once. And blood flowed from your mother's body through the placenta to you, and it functioned as a kidney, lungs, intestines. It did everything that you needed to do in order to be able to grow and survive at that time. About 25 days, your life begins. After 25 days after your life begins, a cord called the umbilical cord developed, and oxygen and nutrients were exchanged from your mother's blood to you and onto your blood there. So that's the umbilical cord. There's like 3 basic bold terms on that page, and you'll want to know those. Of course, you begin to grow. Look at these pictures on page 53. They're at 4 weeks. You still didn't have any bones. You just had little tiny bumps of cartilage, and you're starting to have little bulges where your arms and your legs are going to be. Your cheeks and nose beginning to take shape, and your heart begins to start to beat about for about a week. They're at 4 weeks, so about 3 weeks, your heart started to beat. You have warm fluid that's surrounding you, and that's to protect you, amniotic fluid, and that's to protect you from bumps or moving around. Maybe if your mom jumps up and down, that kind of thing. And then about 6 weeks, you're about a half an inch long, itty bitty, and your arms and legs started to come out. Your fingers are actually fairly visible at this point, and kind of look like little paddles there. Page 54. 9 weeks, you started to grow. You should fit nicely in a little nutshell. All right, just a little nutshell there, about 9 weeks. You waved around, kicked your feet. You can read all of that. About 12 weeks, your ribs are visible. You're about 3 inches long. And 13 to 16 weeks, you're really growing rapidly now. All right, so during this month, you grew to nearly 6 inches, so doubling they're in size, and you start to stretch and so on and so forth, around skipping up to about 7 months. Your eyes begin to open. You're sensitive to light and bright shadow, that kind of thing. Your lungs, you couldn't breathe on your own. They're just little flat sacs at this point. And then about 8 months, you start to get fat cells, just so you will begin to prepare for the outer world there. And then around 9 months, you start to feel a squeeze. Your body actually gets in position and gets ready for birth. And in 9 months, your mother's womb there starts to squeeze. And then you came, of course, the contractions inched you slowly forward until you completely come outside of your mom's body. And then you took a deep breath, air rushed in, filled up your lungs, and then, of course, the umbilical cord would be cut, and then about a week or two later, your umbilical cord actually falls off, and then you end up having a little belly button down there where the umbilical cord was. And it's just a reminder to us of God's provision for us, and how He made us so wonderfully, and used your mom and dad to be able to do that as well. So, anyways, that wasn't too terrible, right? And so make sure you read that 52 to 55. It's very interesting. If you have any questions or whatever, your parents are going to love that. All right. So, anyway, I will get back to you with the next lesson. Make sure you do this QC on page 55. Those three terms are really the terms that you need to know for this section.